The night everything changed. He thought it was just another delivery. But instead of a simple drop-off, he walked straight into a standoff that would expose corruption, racism, and fear in the heart of a quiet neighborhood. And when the truth came out, everyone learned Malik Johnson wasn't just a driver. The city of Stonehaven was quiet that evening. The kind of quiet that makes the streetlights buzz louder than the traffic. Malik Johnson, 29 years old, was behind the wheel of his Toyota Camry. The warm glow of his GPS lit up the dashboard. A food delivery bag sat on the passenger seat, the smell of fried chicken and collard greens filling the car. Malik wasn't new to this hustle. By day, he wore press suits and argued cases in front of judges. By night, he drove deliveries to make extra cash, stay grounded, and, if he was honest, remind himself of the people he fought for. The system could feel like a maze, courtrooms, paperwork, pleadings, but out here, he met real people, saw the way policies and prejudice shaped everyday lives. His father used to say, "Son, sometimes the best way to know the law is to see the streets it's supposed to protect." That night, Malik had no idea how true those words were about to become. The app pinged. Next stop, Willow Creek Estates. A gated neighborhood on the edge of town. Suburban perfection. White picket fences. HOA rules about grass height and mailbox colors. The kind of place where silence wasn't peace, it was control. Malik pulled up to the gate, punched in the code the customer left, and drove in. The streets were lined with neatly trimmed hedges. Porch lights glowed faintly. Kids' bikes leaned against garage doors. Another delivery, in and out, he thought. But then he saw it, a black SUV creeping out of the cul-de-sac ahead, slow, predatory. It rolled toward him, then braked hard. The headlights flared into his windshield, blinding him. Malik squinted, his gut tightened. This wasn't just curiosity. This was a stop. The SUV pulled sideways, blocking his lane. Malik's pulse picked up. He shifted into park. The driver's door opened. Out stepped a man, stocky build, bald head. Black tactical polo stretched across his chest, neighborhood security stitched on the front. A bulky flashlight in one hand, a holstered pistol on his hip. His boots crunched the asphalt as he walked up slowly, deliberately, like he owned the street. The man's voice was sharp. "Evening. What are you doing here?" Malik leaned slightly out his window. "Delivery. House 412? The man tilted his head, squinting into the car. His flashlight beam hit Malik's face, blinding him. "Step out of the vehicle." Malik blinked against the beam. "Excuse me." The man's lips pressed thin. "We've had prowlers. You fit the description." Malik let out a humorless laugh. "A delivery driver. With hot food on the seat. Step out." The SUV's engine idled behind them, headlights still glaring. The whole setup felt less like security and more like a checkpoint in a war zone. Slowly, Malik opened the door. He stood tall, 6 feet even, clean-cut, his polo shirt clinging in the humid air. His voice stayed even. "Look, man. I'm just trying to do my job. Customers waiting." The guard, his badge read C. Doyle, circled him, flashlight bouncing from Malik's face to his hands to his car. "You got ID?" Malik pulled out his license, held it steady. Doyle snatched it, shining his beam over it. Malik Johnson, Doyle read, like he was testing the name. "Doesn't mean much." "People lie," Malik exhaled. "Here we go again." "Sir," he said carefully, "with all due respect, I don't need your permission to be here. The resident ordered food. That's my clearance." Doyle's jaw tightened. He stepped closer, chest puffed. The flashlight beam cut into Malik's eyes. "Funny thing is," Doyle said, "we've had a lot of complaints about people like you hanging around here." The words hung heavy. "People like you." Malik didn't flinch. He'd heard it before. Different places, different uniforms. Always the same undertone, Behind him, a porch light flicked on. A neighbor peeked from behind curtains. Another stepped onto their lawn, arms folded. Malik's voice stayed calm. "Low, you're profiling me. In a neighborhood I have every right to enter." Doyle smirked. "Profiling? No, just doing my job. You look suspicious." And suspicious gets checked. The air thickened. Malik could feel it. The moment before lightning splits a summer sky. "Hand over your phone," Doyle said suddenly. Malik raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me." "Phone. If you're delivering." "Let's see the order." Malik shook his head slowly. "That's private information, protected by contract. And you have no authority to demand it." Doyle's smirk widened. "You one of those know your rights types." Malik's jaw flexed. "I'm exactly that type." The tension drew neighbors closer. A teenager pulled out his own phone, recording. A woman whispered, "That's the third time this month." Doyle noticed the cameras. His voice hardened. "Step back against the car. Hands where I can see them." Angela's words, from Malik's childhood, echoed in his head. "Stay calm. They're waiting for you to slip." So he did, calm, hands visible. But his voice, steady as steel. "Are you detaining me?" Doyle blinked. "What?" Malik repeated, louder. "Are you detaining me?" Neighbors murmured. Doyle shifted, unsettled. His hand brushed the grip of his pistol. Malik's heart thudded, not from fear. From recognition. The moment had come, because Malik wasn't just a driver. Malik squared his shoulders. His voice dropped low, deliberate. "Name's Malik Johnson, civil rights attorney. Licensed by the state bar. I've spent the last 5 years suing officers who thought intimidation was a substitute for authority." The crowd gasped. Doyle froze. Malik stepped closer, his voice carrying now, measured and sharp like a courtroom strike. "What you're doing is unlawful detention. You've blocked my vehicle. You're refusing to let me complete a contract. And you've implied I match a vague description. That, sir, is profiling. Illegal, unconstitutional, and actionable in federal court." The neighbors whispered louder now. Phones angled closer. The tide was turning. Doyle's smirk faltered. His hand twitched near his holster. Malik didn't back down. "And now, thanks to all these witnesses. You're on video. Every word, every threat." One neighbor shouted, "He's right. You can't do that." Another, "Leave him alone, Doyle." Doyle's breathing quickened. His authority crumbling. His voice cracked. "You think you can talk to me like that?" Malik's eyes burned steady. "No, I think I can prove it." Blue and red flashed across the street. Sirens wailed closer. Police cruisers screeched to a halt. 2 officers stepped out, hands near weapons. "What's going on here?" one barked. Doyle pointed furiously. This man was prowling. "I stopped him." He resisted. Malik lifted his chin, calm as stone. He held out his wallet, opening it flat. Driver's license, state bar ID, attorney credentials, delivery driver, civil rights attorney, unlawfully detained while making a delivery. The officers blinked. The younger one muttered, "Attorney." Doyle sputtered. He was acting suspicious. But neighbors shouted over him, "He's lying." The driver was just doing his job. He tried to pull his gun. The officers scanned the crowd, phones in every hand, cameras recording. The truth was too thick to ignore. "Sir," the older officer said to Doyle, "step aside." Doyle's face twisted red. "You can't. Now." The next morning, the videos exploded online. Delivery driver harassed in gated community, but he's actually a civil rights attorney. Security guard humiliated after profiling incident. By noon, Malik's phone buzzed nonstop. Reporters, clients, even colleagues who didn't know about his side hustle. But more than that, residents from Willow Creek reached out. "This isn't the first time. They've been targeting us for years. We were too scared to say anything." Malik met them in living rooms, community centers, church basements. One by one, stories poured out. A grandmother stopped walking her grandkids after Doyle harassed her. A Latino contractor forced to show ID just to mow a lawn. A teenager made to empty his backpack in the street. Each story built the case. Each voice added weight. Malik filed formal complaints, civil suits. He knew the playbook. He wrote it. The HOA board scrambled, issued statements about misunderstandings, tried to bury it under paperwork. But Malik's case was airtight. The community was united. And the cameras had already told the story. Weeks later, under a golden sunset, Malik stood at a neighborhood meeting. Residents filled folding chairs. Families stood shoulder to shoulder. Doyle gone, fired. The HOA's contract under review. Malik's voice carried strong, steady. This isn't just about me, or one night. This is about power. About who thinks they have it, and who actually does. Abuse thrives in silence, but silence ends when we stand together. The crowd erupted in applause. Malik glanced around. Parents smiling, kids laughing, neighbors nodding with pride. He thought of his father's words. The best way to know the law is to see the streets it's supposed to protect. And tonight, Malik knew, the law wasn't just in books or courtrooms. It was here, on the street. In the voices of people who refused to be intimidated. Malik smiled faintly. For the first time in years, he felt the weight lift. Because this wasn't just a delivery gone wrong. It was justice, delivered. Final message: abuse of power thrives on silence. But when one person speaks up, it gives courage to everyone else. And real change, it doesn't start in courtrooms. It starts here, in the driveway, in the street, in the moment someone decides, enough.